Hello and welcome back to 5 on Fridays. I'm Ashley Harris, the dietitian, working with Healthy Columbus, and wanted to come out and talk to you guys today about eating for heart health, specifically to help lower our cholesterol. You know, February is Heart Healthy Month. I get really excited when it comes to nutrition about the foods we can add in, right? Like, yes, there's a lot that we need to and should take out or minimize, but I get really excited about the stuff that we can include. So I wanted to talk to you about 2 nutrients that we can add to our diet that might be a surprise to you, but that can actually help with our cholesterol. And these are fat and fiber. And so the first question that I kind of like to address, people are like, is this even important, right? Like, should we be paying attention? Why do we care? And I just read a statistic the other day that the first part didn't surprise me, right? That there's 86 million Americans who have high cholesterol. What really got me though is 7% of children ages 6 to 19 also have high cholesterol. Meaning there's something going on, we need to start paying attention to this. And I think doing what we can as much through lifestyle, right? We definitely want to minimize medications, especially in children. And we know that having high cholesterol can lead and increase our risk for, heart disease, heart attack, stroke. And so, I often get asked too, well, what about statins, right? We just take a pill, right? Everything's okay. And it's true, right? Statins are effective in lowering our cholesterol. However, they come with side effects, and they are certainly not for everybody. Side effects range from mild to they can be really severe, right? And even potentially cause death. They interact with our liver in such a way that could be problematic for people. And even the more mild one, side effects are muscle pain, digestive problems, kind of mental fuzziness. And if we can minimize or eliminate the need for those statins, I think everyone's a bit ahead of the game. So I wanted to talk to you, like I said, about 2 things that we could add to our diet that might reduce the risk for those statins, reduce the need for those statins and then reduce our risk for heart disease, heart attack, and stroke. So the first one is fat, right? And I know everyone's like, well, I thought we were supposed to avoid fat. Isn't fat bad? I thought fat's bad for cholesterol. And yes, right, the type of fat is what's going to be really important. So there are certain fats, specifically saturated fat and trans fats, that we want to watch. I won't delve too deeply into those. These could be another topic for another day. But really quickly, in a nutshell, trans fats are these man-made fats. We thought we were doing a good thing, taking a healthy fat, making it taste like the unhealthy fats. Turns out that's not the case. So that is something that we actually want to eliminate in our diet as much as possible. The best way to do so is always reading the ingredient list on a food item. And if you see the words partially hydrogenated oil, or it might just say hydrogenated oil, and it could be a number of oils that we're talking about, but that word hydrogenated is really key. That's going to indicate that it's a trans fat. There's some really savvy marketers out there, and they might say 0 grams of trans fat per serving. And technically the trans fat is under 0.5 grams per serving, so they can say 0, but we have a couple servings, now we're getting them in. So I say always kind of peek at that ingredient list and just kind of make sure you're not getting them in. The other one is saturated fats. And like all things nutrition, there's kind of a lot of debate currently in research, in the literature, and amongst professionals, the exact role that saturated fat plays in our cholesterol and our risk for heart disease. I think the more it's like what form that saturated fat's being delivered in, or how our specific bodies are reacting. However, just to kind of play it safe, the American Heart Association recommends no more than 5 to 6% of our total energy intake being from saturated fat. So if we're basing this off like a typical 2,000 calorie a day diet, we're saying, shoot for 22 grams or under of those saturated fats. And we are finding, the food source is important. So specifically minimizing the ones that come from the animal products that are not dairy. So, the fat on the meat, chicken skin, fried chicken, like those types of things. That dairy saturated fat, so stuff you'd find like yogurt or cottage cheese or cheese, might not be as bad, but we would still kind of just to err on the side of caution, not go too crazy with it. But here's where I get more excited. All right, what can we get in, right? What should we be focusing on? And when it comes to fat, there's 2 that are superstars when it comes to our cholesterol. The first is monounsaturated fats. So these are things like olive oil, canola oil, nuts, nut butters, avocados. And what we've seen is that these reduce the bad cholesterol and raise maybe that good cholesterol. So the way I kind of remember the cholesterols, quote unquote, bad cholesterol is LDL. And we want that low. So L, we want it low. Our good cholesterol is called HDL. And H, we want it high. So those monounsaturated fats are going to lower that bad LDL, raise that good HDL. Even more so, they found when we are replacing typical saturated fats we consume in our diet with those. Meaning if you're going to cook with butter, could you replace that with olive or canola oil, right? If you are going to maybe, I'm a big fan of balancing snacks. So if you're going to do like an apple and a thing of string cheese, well, maybe consider, hey, can I do a handful of nuts instead? Nuts also have so many other great health benefits. They decrease inflammation in our bodies. They provide really important nutrients to help stabilize our mood, help with our blood sugar. So, they're kind of a powerhouse. The only thing I would say is even though these are healthy fats are more calorie dense than other nutrients. And so you want to watch the amount, right? So like a tablespoon of olive or canola oil, that's about 120 calories. A serving of nuts, which is like an ounce or like a quarter cup, basically like a handful would be a good amount. So, if you could include a handful of nuts, like right now I'm really into the little cuties oranges of the season. A fruit with a handful of nuts, perfect snack, is going to do so much for you in terms of just health benefits. The other one that gets a lot of attention is the omega-3 fatty acids. These are another form of unsaturated fats. They're the ones that get a lot of attention, right? Fish oils come from, those have those omega-3s in there. Interestingly enough, when we look at the research for heart health and for consuming these omega-3 fatty acids, the best way to do it for our cholesterol and our heart health is in actual food form. We see that, they have so many heart benefits. They raise the good cholesterol, they reduce triglycerides, they prevent blood clots, they lower blood pressure, they reduce inflammation. However, the biggest benefit was seen is when we're actually consuming like real fish. About 2 times a week is the recommendation there. Supplementation, that's what we've kind of seen some mixed results. There is some really interesting research with supplementation in our triglyceride levels, but when we're talking omega-3 when we're talking cholesterol, your best way to get those omega-3 fatty acids in is through food. But it doesn't have to just be fish, right? That's the best source. It's the most concentrated source, but there are great sources of omega-3 fatty acids in plant foods. Flaxseed is one that has it, whether it's an oil or the actual seed form, and I'm going to speak to that in just one second too. But other sources of it are going to be in walnuts, it's going to be in flaxseed, where I just mentioned that, pumpkin seeds, hemp seeds, and then some of the fortified foods. So some, like if you go get eggs, they might see on there fortified with omega-3 fatty acids. So again, as much as you can kind of get this in, if there's opportunities to replace the saturated fats with, an omega-3 fat or a monounsaturated fat, even better. One thing I want to throw out there when it comes to specific nutrients lowering our cholesterol, there is some exciting and emerging research looking at flax in its relationship with cholesterol, whether consumed in flax oil form, so is up to 1 tablespoon a day of flax oil, or ground flaxseed. So about 2 to 4 tablespoons a day is considered safe for that ground flaxseed. And we do see some benefits for lowering our cholesterol. Now, if you have questions, with anything, we want to make sure, is this going to be safe for you? Give you ideas to do it. So I don't know if you've ever had ground flaxseed, but it's different, right? I put it in smoothies, I add it to yogurt or soups or salads. You definitely want to grind it up because you have to open that seed to get the nutrients out of there. But if people have questions, or if you want to talk, hey, I really get no omega-3 fats in, what could a supplement look like? Reach out. So I am the dietitian working with the city. I'm here for all city employees and their dependents at no charge, and we can kind of talk out what might be a good plan for you in terms of getting these nutrients in, or supplementation if needed. So that's kind of where we're at with the fats, right? And again, getting in the olive oil, canola oil, avocados, nuts, beans, seeds, fish. These are all going to be really great sources. Jumping gears, right? So now, or shifting gears, I should say, is we're looking at soluble fiber with its relationship to our heart health. And so this is kind of like if you've ever seen the Cheerios commercials, right? And they say Cheerios are heart healthy. And the reason why is Cheerios have soluble fiber. We know that soluble fiber decreases cholesterol in our body. Therefore, they can kind of make that leap. And what happens is we have this kind of naturally occurring process, right? Where we excrete cholesterol into our intestines in liquid form, in the form of bile salts, and it's reabsorbed back up. It's just natural. It's happening all the time. Soluble fiber is one of the 2 types of fibers. We have insoluble and soluble. The soluble, brings in fluids to the stool, hence soluble. And when it brings in those liquids, it actually brings in those bile salts as well. And then that cholesterol kind of goes down the toilet. So it's a really effective way of eliminating cholesterol from our diet. And again, you're not having to take anything out. We're just adding some good stuff in. Really good sources of fiber in general, but soluble fiber, are plant foods, right? Any plant foods, fruits, vegetables, nuts, whole grains, beans, seeds. But in particular, there are some that are even higher in soluble fiber. So, oatmeal is a really good one. Beans, lentils, some of the fruits like apples, bananas, oranges are all superstars with that soluble fiber. Carrots, sweet potatoes, green beans, Brussels sprouts. Again, these are all some of the superstars, but there is soluble fiber in pretty much any plant food. Minimally, we would want to aim for at least 5 to 10 grams of soluble fiber per day to start getting these benefits. But if you could get up to like 20 or so, even better. Most of us are not meeting our fiber recommendations, which are 25 grams a day for women and 35 grams a day for men. And that can be a combination of soluble and insoluble fibers, but making sure that you're getting them in. Again, like every time you're eating, that could be a great opportunity. Hey, am I getting a plant food in, a fruit, a vegetable, nuts, beans, seeds, those types of things. And again, if people have questions or you want to strategize, ways to get more of the healthy fats or those soluble fibers into your diet, please feel free to reach out. My email is nutritionist@columbus.gov. If you forget that, you can always reach out to the Healthy Columbus team. But yeah, I hope this gave you some ideas. I hope you all go out there today and have like an apple and a handful of walnuts, and you're going to be doing your heart good favors. And I look forward to talking to you all at next 5 on Fridays. Okay, thanks so much. Bye.